Is Honor coming after Samsung? It sure looks that way. With the launch of the Honor 400 series just around the corner on May 22nd, the company has started teasing its new phone, and they're doing it with a bit of style and shade. In one of their recent promo images, Honor not only hinted at some major upgrades, but also seemed to take a direct jab at Samsung's mid-range phones. The teaser itself looks like it was created using artificial intelligence, but it's packed with clues. There's a phone sitting inside a cooler, a massive telephoto lens on another phone, and even an airship floating in the sky with the words, "Not the same," written on it. That last one? Pretty clearly aimed at Samsung. Why the shade? Well, Samsung's mid-range phones haven't seen big changes recently. The Galaxy A55 and A56, for example, look almost the same. And Honor seems to be pointing that out with this campaign. But beyond the jabs, the teaser is telling us a lot about what to expect from the new Honor 400 series, especially the Pro model. The Honor 400 Pro is rumored to come with a triple camera setup, and these specs are hard to ignore. A 200-megapixel main sensor, a 50-megapixel telephoto, lens a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera. That's serious camera power, especially in a mid-range phone. The 200-megapixel sensor might even be exclusive to the Pro model, though we don't have official confirmation on that yet. Still, it's safe to say Honor is aiming high and clearly targeting mobile photography fans. But it doesn't stop at the camera. Under the hood, the Honor 400 Pro is also expected to bring flagship-level performance. Leaks suggest it will be powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, the same processor used in many premium phones this year. It could also come with up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, 5 and 12 gigabytes of storage, and a massive 5,300 mAh battery that supports 100-watt fast charging. That's a lot of power, especially for a phone that's expected to start at around €799, or about $900 when directly converted. The regular Honor 400 model might start at €499, or roughly $560. Honor is also running a little game with this teaser. If you can spot the clues hidden in the promo image, you might actually win the phone. So if you're up for a fun challenge and want a shot at getting the Honor 400 Pro for free, it might be worth checking out. The phone is expected to launch in the UK first, with wider availability across Europe, China, and possibly India. Sadly, there's still no word on a US release. With these kinds of specs and pricing, the Honor 400 series could be a strong competitor in the mid-range space. It'll likely be going up against the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE, the OnePlus 13R, and the Google Pixel 9a. But with that powerful camera setup, Honor might just have the edge for users who care most about mobile photography. So, what do you think? Is Honor playing it smart by calling out Samsung? And would you consider switching to the Honor 400 Pro over something like a Galaxy A series phone? Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this update, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more phone news and reviews right here on our channel. What's one thing we all want more of from our phones, but never really get enough? Yep, better battery life. The iPhone 17 series is coming in September 2025, and while the headlines focus on design and camera changes, there's a lot happening inside the phone, especially when it comes to how long the battery lasts and how it charges. So what can we expect this year? Let's start with the basics. Apple will release 4 models again: the iPhone 17, a new iPhone 17 Air, the iPhone 17 Pro, and the top-end iPhone 17 Pro Max. The iPhone 17 Air will replace the older Plus version. Now, don't expect Apple to suddenly add giant batteries like you see in Android phones from brands like Xiaomi or OnePlus. No 6,000 mAh monsters here, but Apple is still making useful changes. First, all iPhone 17 models will use what's called stacked battery technology. It was introduced earlier, and it's back again. These stacked batteries are more compact and last longer. They also generate less heat, which is better for your phone's long-term health. Second, Apple is bringing a new kind of glue to make battery replacements easier. It's called electric adhesive. Basically, it lets repair centers remove the battery using a small electric charge instead of having to pry it out by force. So, fixing your phone just got a bit simpler. Will the iPhone 17 have better battery life? Most likely, yes, especially in the Pro models. That's mainly because of the chip. The standard iPhone 17 and 17 Air will run on Apple's A19 chip, while the Pro and Pro Max will use the A19 Pro. These chips might be built using either a 3nm or possibly even 2nm process. That smaller size means better energy use, so your phone does more while using less battery. Also, there are more improvements helping in the background. Apple's new 5G modem is expected to use less power than before. The OLED screens will be more efficient too, thanks to new display tech called M14 panels. Now let's talk charging. Don't expect super fast numbers like 120 watt or 200 watt charging from Apple. That's just not their style. Instead, the iPhone 17 models will likely stick with the current speeds. That means about 27 to 30 watt wired charging, depending on the model. In real-world terms, that means it could take about 1 hour and 30 minutes to go from 0 to 100%, just like the iPhone 16 wireless charging. Yes, it's here as usual, with speeds up to 15 watt using Apple's MagSafe. No surprise there. But here's what's new. Apple might finally add reverse wireless charging. This lets you charge other gadgets, like your AirPods or Apple Watch, just by placing them on the back of your iPhone. It's not super fast, though. Right now, it's expected to be 7.5 watt, and it may only be available on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Is Apple copying the Pixel again? That's what a lot of people started asking when renders of the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max showed up online. The big change? A horizontal camera bar on the back, something that looks pretty similar to what Google has been doing with its Pixel phones for years. Now, to be fair, the renders of the iPhone 17 base model and the thinner iPhone 17 Air don't look anything like the Pixel. But those Pro models? You do start to see where the comparisons come from, especially if you squint a bit. And Google clearly noticed the talk too, because they've responded and they did it in the most Google way possible, through a new ad in their Dr. Best Phones Forever series. If you haven't seen these ads before, they're done in a claymation-like style, and imagine the Pixel and iPhone as best friends. The Pixel usually plays the smart, modern one, while the iPhone is a little behind on features. It's playful, but also full of subtle jabs. In the latest episode, called Responding to the Rumors, the two phones are co-hosting a podcast. The Kakwe Mi, big topic of discussion? The leaked iPhone 17 redesign and how it's starting to look a bit like the Pixel. A headline appears during the podcast that says, iPhone 17 leaks look a lot like Google Pixel. The iPhone character responds by saying, "Can you imagine me doing the same thing you did first, years later?" That moment pretty much sums up the whole joke. The ad goes on to list some of the other times Apple introduced features that Pixel users had already been using for years. First, there's Night Sight, which Google launched in 2018. Apple followed with its Night Mode in 2019. Both are used for taking better photos in very dark conditions without using flash. Then, iPhone mentions Magic Eraser, the photo editing feature Google introduced in 2021. Apple came out with Clean Up last year, which does something very similar, removing unwanted objects from your photos. And of course, they talk about widgets. Pixel phones had them way back in 2016. Apple didn't bring them to iPhones until years later with iOS 14. Even though Google is clearly poking fun, the ad keeps things friendly and light. It's all done in good humor, but the message is clear. Apple may have more sales, but Google likes to think it's the one leading the way when it comes to innovation. Now, when it comes to how similar the iPhone 17 Pro's rumored camera bar is to the Pixel's, it's still up for debate. The renders show a wide, horizontal layout, but it doesn't exactly match the smooth, polished look of the Pixel 9 camera bar. It's more bulky, more squared off, so maybe it's a stretch to call it a copy. But the timing of the ad? Pretty perfect. Meanwhile, Pixel fans are also looking ahead to Google I/O, happening from May 20 to May 21. We're expecting to get a first look at the Pixel 10 series during the event.